Thank you. Thank you very much. And good morning. The title, Floating in Air and on Water. There's a subtitle, Japanese Architecture, Tradition and Imagination. I'd like to hold a story about some intention to floating in air. I'll start this slide. It's a computer graphics by the JAXA. JAXA is a Japanese NASA and NHK in the broadcasting company. And the last of my lecture, I repeat or return to that image. My lecture will explore a certain aspect of the genealogical connection between traditional and modern or contemporary Japanese architecture. The aspect that will be discussed in my lecture is suspended or floating or soaring intention or building, intention or desire, dream, or some sort of passion in the course of history of architecture. The first image is at the back of the Kaoku Monkyo. It's a bronze mirror showing ancient Japanese building, dwelling houses. There, the mirror, back of the mirror depicts four types of building. And two of them, this and this, are raised or elevated floor building. Two is normal, ordinary building. Is likely to be a storage, and other is a takadomo, which is supposed to be a house or house for higher class individual. Raised for construction in Japan can be traced back to the tumulus period when people in Japan began living on floors. However, this type of building did not evolve from the gradual elevation of low wooden floors that characterize building built during this period, but rather originated at a significantly earlier date. This figure, the earlier representation was found in relief of dotaku, raised floor, and ladder, and roof. Maybe it's a sort of storage. At Toro, the name of the place in the middle of the mainland Japan, raised floor building was restored as a granary. This building just reconstruction building, and only remained the whole of the pole or columns. In ancient time, the storage is a very important type of building, so it will store food or treasure, and to avoid flood or humidity or attack of mouse. Many examples still exist in the local area. It's a very vernacular type of storage. in the island of Ogasawara. This is a very famous building, Shosoin in Nara temple, Todaiji temple, in the Todaiji temple. Takadono, which I showed already this type of building. The level of the floor represents the social status of the owner. And other reconstructed building, in the very old time, the left hand Yoshinogari and right is Sandai Maruyama. Both are reconstructed. Just only the evidence of the columns hall. It is interpreted the raised floor is not only the functional, realistic purpose, but some symbolical ritual meaning. The site of the building area is top of the hill, so there is no river, no seashore. Yeah. But on the top of the building, some rulers look around the people. And next, Is and Ismo is two very important shrine. The history of the shrine is very old. The shrine building at Ise and Ismo are monumental examples of raised floor architecture, tracing its origin in antiquity. That Ise, Naiku Shoden. In Ise Shrine, there are many buildings, big and small, and important and not so important. But Shoden, Naiku Shoden is most important main building. Is a very sophisticated transformation of primitive storehouse, which is a type of raised floor building. This is a restored image of the original Izumo, Izumo Taisha Shoden, Izumo Taisha Honden, is a marvelous work. The height of the building was said to be nearly 100 meters. The ancient Japanese modular scale, 32 jo was 36 jo in some historical text. But however, a famous hypothetical restoration by architectural historian Professor Fukuyama showed that the building was 48 meters, 16 jo in height. That is Professor Fukuyama's reconstruction drawing. The height of existing building of Izumo Taisha Honden, which was rebuilt in the 18th century, is the half, 24 meters, 8 jo. So this picture is excavated in the underground of the site of former Izumo Taisha Honden. We can see very large wooden crowns. Almost its diameter is 1 meter, and composed 3 crowns in one. The left side is a drawing of the ancient Izumo Taisha Honden's plan. Yeah, we can see the 9 columns. Each column is combined three columns in one. And now we can see the pavement just over the excavated site, 3 columns, and in one is bound by the steel belt together. It's a very, very marvelous technology in ancient. This is the reconstruction models of 1/50 in the museum. But we can see the 9 columns supported, which support the main part of the shrine. But it is also the hypothetical image, not under some archaeologists or historians' imagination. There is no evidence of very long and support structure. Next, I talked about 掛け作り、三仏寺、投げ入れ堂。This is a very eccentric piece built in the late 12th century. This building appears as if it is hanging from a perpendicular cliff, high cliff, and in the middle of the cliff, the building is located. And it's a very small building. So next, Kiyomizudera is a very famous sightseeing spot in Kyoto. It's one of the kakezukuri type buildings. And it is the largest among this building type. So this building also, this building was also built along the high cliff, and Lido, adjacent hall for worship, and vast terrace on the stage in front of the main hall are supported by numerous columns and frames. So you can see the section, almost 1/3 part of the building, two-thirds is situated on the pavilion in the sky, in Japanese or Chinese, 空中楼閣. So Kinkakuji is also a very famous building. Kinkakuji, meaning is golden pavilion in Kyoto, represents an illusion hovering in the air. There is, this building is a 3 stories building, but the second and third was covered by gold, but the first floor is normal wooden. The illusion of the hovering, the upper part of the building is in the sky, and we can see the reversed image, reverse mirror image that reflects on the surface of the water. It's just illusion. NIoNC. It's also presents a dynamic image of movement, giving the impression of soaring in air and floating on water. The name of this pavilion means flying cloud. This building is very complicated. There are the architect of building gathers several building existing other site and assemble in one building. This is the part of our entrance from the pond. This is water service and the stair, and for here and here is the main entrance of the NIoNC. The approach from the pond by the boat. This is a very famous house designed by Frank Lloyd Wright, falling water. So I'd like to show another example, pavilion on the sky on water. This is a project by Seiichi Shirai, the 10th atomic catastrophe. This is just a project, not realized, but Seiichi Shirai designed this building for the gallery, for the picture of the disaster of atomic bomb in Hiroshima. Next, Katsura and the 1950s modernism. Modernism architects such as Bruno Taub, Walter Gropius, and Japanese architect Kenzo Tange interpreted Katsura, Katsura Rikyu, an imperial villa of 17th century located near Tokyo, as a masterpiece of traditional Japanese architecture, because they believe it had the same aesthetic as the modernism of the 20th century.
The latest floor composition of this building looks similar to a pilotis, a pilotis of Villa Savoie of Le Corbusier, and François' house of Miss van der Rohe. However, only the formal aspects are similar, but the function and meaning are different. A recent book by Nakamori, the title Katsura, picturing the modernism in architecture, photographed by Ishimoto Yoshiro, the Museum of Fine Art, Houston. So there is very interesting process to make a book in 1955 in United States and Japanese. The graph is trimmed. Every picture the photographer's Ishimoto was redesigned by Kenzo Tange. So many of the pictures of Katsura cut the roof, only the very horizontal and vertical composition like the Mondrian's painting. This picture is Hiroshima Peace Center by Tange Kenzo, and the house in Seijo, designed by Kenzo Tange, are obviously influenced by the composition and proportion of this villa. Katsura. In Katsura villa, the Katsura villa located in the near the river of Katsura, that river frequently flood, and that villa is for the imperial family, so they avoid the humidity or temperature of the summer. So it's the raised floor composition is a very have a functional meaning, and there are no space under the floor. And house in Seijo is Tange's own house, and this is section and the detail. And there's an example influenced by the Japanese traditional raised floor building. It's the architect Kazuo Shinohara's house in Kugayama, almost the same period, both is built. So very famous house, the 50s, the masterpiece of modernism, the flat state, flat. Oh. And frequently this house is sunken in the water. But the raised floor function to avoid the flood. And another example, the sky house by Kiyomi Kikutake, his own house in 50s. So, in 1960s, 60s and 70s, Japanese architects and urban designers had to reconsider the idea of reconstructing and redeveloping the urban environment. They proposed a large number of ideal projects, such as city on the sea and city in the sky. One of the most famous proposals is Tokyo 1960 by Kenzo Tange. His group proposed a new city in the Tokyo Bay. And the central office zone, also Ishizaki's project, City in the Sky. And another example is City on the Water by Kikutake, Kiyomi Kikutake. It's a pavilion exposition in Okinawa. His proposal for the Hawaii Island, also city on the water. And he also showed the technological ideas of floating units of Hawaii project. This image of functional and technological and aesthetic challenge of floating can be traced back to the history of Japanese architecture, and moreover, the same achievement to be free from gravity, free from the land, motherland, can be found in the architecture of other cultures. So, Rudolph's famous drawing, be able to show heaven and land, and from heaven, the sunlight of the truth shower. I said the homage to the Russian avant-garde Ivan Leonidov's Lenin Institute. Of course, not realized. And finally, we show Buckminster Fuller's floating city in the Great Canyon. Our Earth grow
also floating or soaring in the universal space. So it's very jump conclusion. So I think the one we live on the land, street, in the ground. But another limitation to free from the land or to our imagination fly to the more vast space. And finally, I have learned from Ivan the Russian word, very important word, NIoNC. It's a very ambivalent state.